Imagine watching in anticipation of a serene heart-to-heart between Mendes and Yandy, only to see sparks erupt so quickly that the room seems like it may blow up. Fans are describing what was supposed to be a casual sit-down to clear the air as one of the most shocking confrontations in hip-hop and love history. Every statement seemed like a dagger rather than a healing tool. From a modest water bottle to a severe tone, every little detail and every tense gaze spun into something far larger. As what began as small annoyances swiftly revealed the deeper scars of their marriage, revealing long-suppressed animosities and years of unsaid fighting, viewers were astounded. Mendeecees became more defensive as Yandy, who was clearly worn out, demanded explanations and effort, claiming that he had always been fighting for them. In a matter of seconds, the atmosphere changed from awkward to combustible, leaving everyone wondering whether this was simply another argument or if their marriage had reached a breaking point. According to insiders, even the team behind the cameras was startled into silence by the intensity of the aftermath. The issue now is, did we witness the live breakdown of Yandy and Mendeecees' romance? Yandy, as well as, with an unpleasant stillness that was already heavier than the humid air in the room, Mendeecees sat down opposite one another. The goal was straightforward. Prior to the Puerto Rico crisis, they hoped to make amends and eventually come to an agreement. Journey alongside the other crew members. However, it was evident from the first conversation that peace would not be simple to achieve. The stress in their voices was audible. The sound of each line was not a bridge, but rather a challenge. What supporters thought would be a touching discussion about family and love turned into one of the most brutal altercations in modern history. Yandy said, "You got real funky with me," in a low, piercing voice that seemed to be challenging him to deny it. "I didn't receive groovy." Mendeecees responded almost immediately. "You got funky." Rather than apologizing or saying, "I'm sorry," you simply continued the nasty vibe. The remark struck more forcefully than they ought to have. Spectators were aware that this was more than a little miscommunication or a glass of water. Everything below was at stake. Yandy leaned forward, her voice brimming with fury. "It isn't affectional energy. It's not pliable. I don't need it from you. It seems like you're prepared to fight me rather than fight for me if something comes up." Viewers were shocked by just one sentence since it addressed the very wound that so many followers had observed. Yandy had been putting up a strong front and publicly defending their marriage for months. The fissures were growing behind the scenes. Mendeecees, who frequently took pride in his strength and lack of concern, was unaware of how deeply that same toughness was piercing her soul. "Perhaps you misunderstood," he said, trying to seem softer. "It was too little, too late for Yandy, but I'm sorry. Let's not make small things into large ones." Her eyes were full of tears as she shook her head. "It goes beyond little details. Little things keep piling up until they overwhelm me. I'm sick of feeling like I'm responsible for this marriage." That sentence was like a dagger piercing the room. Supporters that were in disbelief at home. Social internet was immediately inundated with comments. "This goes deeper than we anticipated. Wow. Yandy appears so exhausted. And the end is just getting started." The irony hurt. What started off as a peaceful sit-down was really exposing the flaws in their relationship. Mendeecees tensed. "I have also been battling. I struggle every single day, even if you can't see it. I've been battling for us ever since we met." Yi softly smashed her fist against the table. "It was desperation, not rage. I don't feel that, even when you say it. I fail to see it. You just appear when it's convenient, but I feel like I've been the only one out here fighting, protecting, and making sacrifices." His tone became stern. "You're creating imaginary issues. You're making trivial matters into conflicts. I can't continue like this. The bull is not something I have time for." The whole tone changed with it. Online fans did a wonderful job of describing it. Her face shattered when he said that. She slumped back in her chair, attempting to suppress her sadness and rage as her lips quivered. She muttered, "I cannot be the only one engaged in combat. I'm exhausted after struggling for too long." This was no longer merely a dispute. Years of animosity were leaking forth. All of the times Yandy had stood up for him in front of friends, supported the family during his absence, and felt isolated in the partnership all came tumbling down at once. And she encountered obstacles in place of certainty. Then the shocking news arrived. Yandy disclosed that rather than getting information about him directly from him, she had been getting it from others. "What does it say about us if I go into a room and hear people talking about my husband? What does that tell us about the trust that we should have?" Mendeecees' whole attitude changed. He tensed up. His tone sharpened. He became more defensive. "You constantly give the impression that I'm concealing something." You're usually so protective. It's so quick to exaggerate it. Fans, however, were aware of what they were seeing. Traditional deflection? He turned the tables on her, refusing to help her. It was cruelly ironic. She was pleading with him for love and honesty, and he was claiming that she was the issue. Commentary surged on the internet. Some supporters agreed with Yandy, calling her the backbone of the family who deserved more. Others took Mendeecees' side, saying he was sick of being held responsible for everything. Despite the heated argument across many timeframes, one thing remained evident. The meeting had turned into one of the season's most explosive scenes. Yandy's expression showed how tired she was. Her eyes were filled with disappointment as she gazed at him. I have stood up for us in front of everyone. When no one else seemed to be willing to carry us, I did. But I need you to stand up for us now. I'm no longer able to do it alone. You don't even see what I've done, Mendeecees said as he leaned back and shook his head. I've been in this battle from day one. However, the words lost their meaning. Supporters said it sounded like two voices echoing but never making it to the other side of a canyon. The quiet that what came next was eerie. She searched for anything as she glanced at him. Any indication that he might get softer, come forward, and accept her suffering. However, he turned his head away. It seemed like a breaking point to many who were watching. Not because of the defensive remarks or the water bottle, but because of the love that once appeared to be hidden behind layers of fatigue and pride that held them together. At that point, Yandy blurted out the most devastating sentence. She said in a scarcely audible voice, I feel like I've been battling alone for far too long. And perhaps this marriage is already ended if I'm the only one still having arguments. Mendeecees remained silent, his face inscrutable as the camera lingered on him. Any debate was overshadowed by the stillness. They had. The audience was unable to turn away. It was more than a scene. It was actual, unadulterated pain leaking forth. Time. This is too real. I can't watch, was one of the tweets sent by fans. If they can't make it, who can? Within minutes, hashtags were trending. Additionally, the video became viral on all platforms. Originally intended to be a reconciliation, it became a realization that their marriage may already be in danger of failing. Following Yandy's last remarks, there was a pause that persisted in the atmosphere like an immobile storm cloud. She just made an admission that no husband ever makes. Wants to openly express that perhaps their marriage was already in danger and that she had been the only one battling for too long. Many sat there with his lips squeezed together and his face blank, as though he was unsure whether to defend himself once more or to just leave. Fans who were watching could sense the weight of the event. They weren't arguing back and forth as they usually did. This was horribly true, unpleasant, and unvarnished. Yandy took a long breath and sat back in her chair, her gaze flickering from him to the table. Every time I try to talk to you, she said quietly, you shut me down. I bring up something small, and instead of just listening, you make it into an argument. I don't want to keep living like this. Her words were filled with the weariness that only comes from saying something over and over again for years. You, not being heard for years. Not being heard for years. Mendeecees at last, he spoke up. He spoke in a defensive tone. His voice trailed off. I don't listen, do you think? Do you think I'm unconcerned? Every day I've been here doing what I can for this family. You're too preoccupied with pointing out my shortcomings for you to notice it. She gave a headshake. Being physically present does not equate to being emotionally present. I need more than simply your presence in the house. You have to be there for me. Please listen to me, show concern for the small things, and don't act as though I'm insane for expecting more from you. The debate veered off course. They are both restating themselves. They were both frustrated. However, what surprised everyone was when Yandy raised the talking to his mom. She said, the way you spoke to me in front of your mom, it made me feel like I was the outsider. Like I wasn't even your partner, just somebody you had to defend. Like I wasn't even your partner, just somebody you had to defend yourself against. Right away became agitated, raising his voice. Keep my mother out of this. It's unfair. You walked in with a lot of intensity, as if you had something to prove, and that made the conversation go in the wrong direction. Vitality? Yandy lifted her eyebrows and repeated, as a result, I can no longer even voice my mind without being accused of being negative. You made me the issue instead of listening to me when I tried to express how I felt. The crowd were in disbelief when they witnessed this occurrence. Comments like, this is the realest fight they've ever had, and you can tell this isn't about the mom, flooded social media. It has to do with deeper problems. One viewer said, Yandy's face is visible. When it looked like things would settle down, Yandy revealed another bombshell. She's breaking within, and he just doesn't understand. Other folks tell me stuff about you, she remarked. From whispers, from discussions I'm not even permitted to hear, from pals. As your wife, how do you think that makes me feel? Mendeecees twitched at once. What are you discussing? What? She gave him a direct glance. You understand exactly what I mean. His voice became piercing. You're going to sit here and start spreading rumors now? Things that other people tell you. I'm meant to protect myself from rumors. I'm not going to do that. Through the screen, fans could sense the heat rising. It was explosive energy. The stress was intolerable. This is marriage collapse live for real, someone tweeted. We're all seeing it happen as he dodges and she breaks. The discussion descended into chaos, once more. He accused her of assaulting him without cause, while Yandy accused him of being overly defensive. Why are you so defensive? She spoke those words. I'm just trying to talk to my spouse, and every time I attempt to bring up something, you act like I'm coming at you. I don't take offense, he retorted. I'm worn out by the never-ending disputes and allegations that I'm never good enough. Fans briefly noticed the weakness in him as his voice broke slightly, revealing the amount of frustration he had been holding as well. The situation unfolded like a roller coaster, with moments of near reconciliation quickly broken by another altercation. Rather than becoming more amicable, the tension between them increased. Yandy stated, I can't keep fighting for two individuals. You must come to me halfway. I have been, Mendeecees said. You simply failed to notice it. Then Yandy posed the query that made even the most vocal online watchers quiet. Do you think we need space? Do you think we may benefit from spending time apart? As if looking for words he couldn't find, Mendeecees looked down at his hands and then away at the wall during the deafening hush that followed. The audience all gasped as Yandy eventually mumbled, The no answer is enough of an answer for me. One admirer wrote, That silence hurt more. The pause lasted much too long, more than words could express. This is the moment their marriage cracked, another person wrote on social media. It seems like the conversation ended there. The weight of it all made Yandy shiver a little as she leaned back and wiped away a tear. I feel like you're not hearing me, she murmured. I feel like nothing I say gets through to you. I don't want to fight with you anymore, Mendeecees said, his voice suddenly husky. Every day I'm battling someplace else. I also don't want to argue here when I get home. Although you claim that you don't want to fight, Yandy wasn't persuaded. The supporters who saw said, I'm not your enemy. I'm your wife. Out of your mouth is a fight. It wasn't over-the-top theatrics or theatrical yelling, but rather the most devastating conversations they had ever witnessed on the program. The moment ended with Yandy muttering, Where do we go from here? It was the silent destruction of two people who loved each other, but had lost the ability to communicate. What are we doing? After a lengthy silence, Mendeecees spoke the words, I don't know. This statement became the night's most popular quotation, shared on social media and recited in many memes and fan discussions. It was more than simply doubt. It was the sound of a marriage on the verge of disintegrating. The tension remained unresolved after the cameras stopped. As they wondered if this was the last straw or just another chapter in a love tale that had previously withstood so much, fans were left speechless. However, one thing was evident. This meeting wasn't only a dialogue. It was enlightening, a turning moment, and maybe the start of the end. That sit-down's aftermath caused fissures in everything around it, much like an earthquake. Them. The stillness between Yandy and Mendeecees became louder by the second, even if the words had ceased. It was evident to viewers at home that neither of them left with a greater sense of tranquility. Rather, they departed, with doubts looming over their marriage, heavy emotions, and unresolved problems. Yandy withdrew into herself, her eyes revealing the turmoil within, her face expressionless. She had expressed her emotions. Even after pleading for a collaboration, she was met with barriers. When she said, The no answer is enough of an answer, her voice reverberated in the hearts of her admirers. That statement went viral on social media. A devastating soundbite that captured the feelings of many people when their pleas for love are ignored. Mendeecees, on the other hand, kept telling himself that he had no desire to fight. Even yet, his tone was guarded and frustrated, as though he didn't really believe what he was saying. Everything else is a battle for me. He had stated that he wanted to fight here. However, Yandy thought that sounded more like a justification than a fix. Online fans were also split. While some said that he was just overburdened and worn out, others asserted that he was evading responsibility and using his marital problems as an excuse to ignore the marital problems. The discussion persisted the next day. When Yandy spoke with a close friend, she broke down in tears. "I feel like I've been shouting into an empty room," she said. "It seems like he can't hear me when I constantly telling him what I need." Her buddy attempted to comfort her by reminding her of all the difficulties they had previously surmounted, but even that assurance sounded insincere. Or perhaps he simply doesn't want to. Yandy said, "This doesn't feel like before." Something seems to be coming to an end. He raged to a confidant of his own back on Mendeecees' side. "She has no idea how much strain I'm under. She never seems to notice what I do, only what I don't do. I'm here every day, I supply. I provide protection, yet it's insufficient somehow." He was genuinely frustrated, yet there was terror beneath it. He was afraid of losing her. Worry that his efforts were not being translated. Be afraid that no matter what he did or said, the marriage was failing. Online fans instantly noticed this similarity. Two individuals narrating the same tale from opposing viewpoints. Yandy thought she was the only one engaged in combat. Mendeecees thought he had been battling the entire time. Nevertheless, both felt invisible in spite of their assertions. They both felt ignored. Viewers were devastated by the awful irony. The timing was what exacerbated the matter. The friction between them threatened to affect the group dynamic as the trip to Puerto Rico drew near. Yandy acknowledged it herself. "I don't even know if I'd like to leave right now. I can't even find serenity in my own house, so how can I be around everyone else?" However, Mendeecees has already announced his departure. He remarked, "I need a break." She is also responsible if she chooses not to attend. The gulf was simply widened by this disparity in viewpoint. Yandy's desire to go away with pals instead seemed like a betrayal to solve things at home. Her inability to let things go seemed like smothering to him. The difference was also observed by their castmates and friends. The supporters were harsh in their criticism, with one insider saying, "They used to walk into rooms together like a team. Now they walk in like strangers." Some supported Yandy and praised her for pressuring her spouse to put in extra work. She is worthy of better. One supporter said she deserves to be heard. Others backed Mendeecees, claiming that he was unfairly portrayed as the villain and that he was under a lot of stress. "He's trying, but she keeps pushing him," one admirer said. The controversy was all over the place, and the couple's relationship became the focus of a contentious internet discussion before the rumors began to circulate, suggesting that there could be more to Mendeecees' defensiveness than fatigue. Others conjectured that the information Yandy received from others could not have been about trivial matters, but rather something more significant. Their conversation's lack of specificity simply served to heighten the conjecture. What is he hiding? Fans inquired. What's causing his defensiveness? Threads and memes sprang, analyzing every pause, every phrase he omitted, and every facial expression. In the meantime, Yandy's, however, passionate confessions received by the confessional revealed a different story. "I love my wife and my family, but I can't live my life with frequent accusations and reminders that I'm not good enough. The struggles have worn me out. All I desire is serenity." His voice faltered a little, revealing that he was in pain as well, even if fans were divided. Some saw two people who were still in love but had lost their path, but they couldn't reveal it to her directly. Everyone agreed that the sit-down had transcended the realm of reality TV, while some recognized the hallmarks of a marriage too far gone to save. As the credits rolled, one could see the mirror reflecting the hardships of